Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In this video, I'm going to give you more examples related to the idea of vector and its representation. So we are going to start off with finding the magnitude or the length of the vector. Now, the mathematical symbol to denote the length of the vector is given by this one or this one, but most often in this lecture I usually use the simple one, which is this one, and it can actually be found, the magnitude can be obtained by using the distance formula given on this in this purple box here. So if you have a two-dimensional vector with components a1 and a2, the magnitude, so this is the magnitude of the vector can be found by taking the square root of a1 squared plus a2 squared. And if you extend this to a three-dimensional vector, you only have an additional component here where you have a3 squared. So this is the third component. So you just simply add this up into this formula. So very simple and quite straightforward. So now we are going to find the magnitude of a vector in example 9.1, and I hope that you still remember the answer that we have obtained in example 9.1 is -4 for the first component, 4 and -3. So based on the result that you have seen in example 9.1, you can find the magnitude of this vector, which is just simply taking the square root of -4 squared plus 4 squared plus -3 squared, and this can be simplified as 16 plus 16 plus 9, and this is equal to 32 plus 9 is 41. So the square root of 41. Okay, next we are going to illustrate the following vectors and find the magnitude. So we have the first vector, the second vector, the third vector, and the fourth vector. Okay, let's start with the first one. Okay, so here we have vector v. So v is 3 and 0. You can think of it as, if you want to represent it in the graph, you can think of it as the x component and y component, and based on that you can visualize the vector on the graph. Okay, so so here is my x, this is my y. So basically the component here is 3, component x, so maybe 1 2 3. So the vector is going to be extended from 0 and it will stop here. So this is 3. So this is the representation of a vector. Okay, vector v, and you can find the magnitude of this vector by taking the square root of 3 squared plus 0 squared, and that would just be equal to 3. Okay, now next let's talk about the second vector, vector w. So we have here w is -5 and 0. So this is the representation. This is x, this is y, and the component given here is actually -5. So this in this direction. Okay, it's actually in this direction. Just give me a moment. Okay. Oh. Okay, so let me just do it one more time. Okay, so all right, so maybe, so this is 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5, so this is -5. Okay, so now the representation, so that vector can be visualized as such. So this is the representation of the vector in this direction, -5 0. And if you go on to find the magnitude of this vector, the magnitude of this vector is just the square root of -5 squared plus 0. So that becomes 25 plus 0. And of course, if you find the square root, you will get that the magnitude is 5 unit. Okay. Right, next is this vector 0 and 4. So what we have here is we have vector y 0 and 4. So let's say we have this x and y axis. So component x is 0, but for component y the value is 4. So maybe 1 2 3 4, and therefore the vectors can be represented in this direction. So it's going upwards in this direction. The arrow is like this. So this is the vector of y, and you can find the magnitude of this vector by taking the square root of 0 squared plus 4 squared, and that is just equal to 4 unit. Okay, now let's look at the final example here, which is vector u. Vector u is represented with component. This is the first component equal to 3, and the second component is -4. So u is 3, -4. So we start off with the representation of axis, y axis, and this is x axis, y. And the component y is -4, so we've got to extend this. So 1 2 3 4, so this is -4. Next 1 2 3, so the component x is positive. So so vector will be at this point, so from 0 to this point. Okay, so this is the vector of u. So if you want to find the magnitude, so the magnitude is taking the square root of 3 squared plus -4 squared, and that is just 9 plus 16, which is just 25, and this is equal to 5 unit. Okay, now let us move to the idea of three-dimensional vector, and let us try to plot this vector into the plane, and then we're going to find the magnitude of this vector. Okay, so first of all, we can think of this as component x, y, and z. So so we can sketch the axis. So this one, something like this. So this is component y, this is component x, and this is component z. So now we can start off with plotting point 2 here on component x. So this is like 1 and 2. So somewhere there. So it's somewhere here too. Next, for component y, it's 3 units up. So like 1, 2, 3. So this is 3 units up. And so if we can go on and extend that. So this is the point that you're talking about. So this is the point of 2 and 3. So 2 and 3. Now z is 5 units up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is 3, this is 2, this is 5. So it is as if you are taking this point up 5 units, and based on this representation, actually you can, in order to proper represent it, you can draw a box, sort of a box, so that you can get the idea on how to draw the arrow line. So so this point here will be brought upwards. So this is at point 5. So that looks like this, and it will extend on this line here, so that at this point here you can draw the box. Okay, let me just do this. Okay, so this is 5, so it is this length. Okay, now we're just connecting all these important points here. So here we have the box that looks like this. So this is at point 2 and 3 on xy plane, and if you extend it up to 5 units up, so this is the point here, this is the point 2, 3, and 5. So the vector will be from 0, so going to this point. So this is the vector that is representing 2, 3, and 5. So that's the idea on how you can sketch or represent a vector in a graph. Next, we are going to find its magnitude. So the magnitude of this vector is taking the square root of 2 squared plus 3 squared plus 5 squared, and this is equal to 4 plus 9 plus 25. So 25, 4, 29, and 9. So 29 and 9 is 38. Okay, the square root of 38. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.